You feel mistimed, as if life around you runs on a script you have already studied. That dissonance is not shyness or mood. It is the residue of consciousness that has lived many rounds before this one. An old soul is simply awareness layered with memory older than the current body. Nothing mystical, nothing to brag about, just experience carried forward. The atmosphere around such a soul is distinctive. On the surface everything proceeds: school, work, friendships. Yet beneath each moment lies a silent observation deck. From that vantage point the world's urgency looks thin. A child with this vantage receives answers but keeps asking larger questions, not from defiance but from recognition that life is bigger than it appears. Empathy follows, not as cultivated virtue but as default perception. Feelings in the room arrive before explanations. Joy lifts, sorrow presses, agitation crackles, and all of it moves through an unshielded field that has stretched across many eras. The nervous system carries more than its own biography, and solitude becomes essential simply to clear the excess static. Memory without events is the next marker. Déjà vu is not a laboratory glitch but an orientation device. The mind says, "Impossible, I have never walked this alley," yet the body settles as if it knows the pattern of bricks. Residual imprints live in muscles and breath. A sudden mistrust of water, grief triggered by distant sirens, skill blooming without practice. Night opens further doors. Dreams arrive as full narratives in cities you have never studied, conversations in tongues you never learned. Upon waking, the echo lingers with a weight no morning routine can dismiss. These fragments are not fantasies seeking attention. They are postcards from prior itineraries, delivered when the current chapter is ready to remember. A magnetic pull toward certain eras often accompanies the fragments. You read a line about ancient Alexandria and feel homesick. You see a photograph of a medieval hill town and your pulse quickens as if someone familiar might turn the corner. Artists notice this pull when a style flows through their hands without conscious study. The mind calls it fascination. The soul registers it as a breadcrumb. Travel intensifies the phenomenon. Stepping onto ground that once carried your footsteps can produce an unprovoked rush of recognition. Tears, elation, or a sudden steadiness as if gravity itself has changed. The body responds before logic can object, confirming that geography, like memory, is not limited to a single lifespan. Relationships amplify the evidence. Certain encounters ignite immediate trust, others immediate caution, and neither can be justified by present facts. Conversation with a new acquaintance dives straight to depth as though a long intermission has ended. Bonds form quickly because the rehearsal happened centuries earlier. Conflicts likewise resurface. An unexplained tension with a coworker may trace back to a rivalry once fought with swords or ledgers. Noticing these echoes shifts personal drama into curriculum. The heart asks, what unfinished lesson is staging itself through this person? And how can awareness complete what reaction would only repeat? The interior weight of an ancient soul shows itself in subtle forms of fatigue that have nothing to do with sleep. Trivia loses flavor quickly. Small talk feels like eating air. Crowds can be gratifying for an evening yet hollow by morning, because the mind of an old soul registers every stray emotion as information to be sorted. This density of perception is why superficial stimulation drains faster than it excites. What endures is depth, a conversation that risks honesty, a book that asks more questions than it answers, a walk taken in complete silence. The shift from accumulating possessions to harvesting meaning is not a moral stance. It is survival. When memory stretches over many incarnations, the spirit instinctively withdraws from anything that will not matter at the last breath. That withdrawal clears space for a spontaneous reverence toward quiet places. Solitude is not escape but calibration, a return to internal settings that modern noise keeps trying to overwrite. In long stretches of stillness, the soul hears its own resonance and realigns. Eventually, curiosity about these undercurrents pushes inward. Accessing the personal ledger of past lives can happen through formal methods or through moments of unexpected recall. Deep meditation loosens the grip of linear time. Images surface that defy autobiography yet arrive with emotional certitude. A reputable regression session, guided without leading questions or theatrical promises, can string those images into narrative threads. The crucial point is intention. If the exercise is used to inflate identity, the data turns unreliable, colored by wishful fantasy. If approached as context for healing and service, the subconscious usually releases only the scenes that will clarify the present mission. Some seekers consult readers who specialize in accessing the Akashic field. Results vary by the reader's clarity, but when such sessions confirm impressions you already hold, dream fragments, unexplained griefs, instinctive skills, the convergence can feel like doors unlocking from both sides. Yet even these confirmations should settle into humility. The ledger is not a trophy case. It is a map showing where karmic rivers still flow and where bridges need building. Once patterns emerge, they reveal why souls choose wildly different learning curves. Some select rapid, intense lifetimes, each cut short by hardship but packed with purification. Others opt for fewer, longer arcs devoted to stewardship, leadership, healing, teaching, where influence ripples across generations. Recognizing your own placement on that spectrum is less about rank and more about appropriate pacing. A soul nearing completion often feels both urgency and detachment. Urgency to resolve lingering knots, detachment from peripheral attractions. A younger soul may feel fiery ambition or sharp emotional swings, signs that early curriculum is still unfolding. Neither stage is superior, they are distinct rooms in the same school. Misreading the room leads to frustration. An old soul mimicking young soul ambitions will feel empty, a young soul trying to skip lessons will feel overwhelmed. Accurate self-reading restores alignment. Ultimately, enumeration gives way to integration. Whether the intuition says 10 lives or 1,000, numbers remain metaphors. The real task is to transmute memory into wisdom and then into compassionate action. Healing today's wound releases tension not only in this body but along the entire ancestral line of selves who carried that imprint. Forgiving an old grievance writes closure backwards through time. Creating something beautiful plants seeds forward into lives not yet born. In this mathematics of consciousness, the only count that matters is the measure of love embodied right now. Knowing your spiritual age, then, is not a badge but an orientation. It explains the shape of your longings and the depth of your fatigue, the ease with which certain skills return and the reason certain lessons refuse to leave. When an old soul remembers, it does not lecture, it demonstrates. It guides without noise, loves without requirement, and finishes its journey by lighting safe passage for anyone still stumbling in the dark.